Hello everyone and welcome to our SamuRai Lab lesson 8. Today we will be focusing on how to save your analysis as an Excel file that is also formatted. Previously we've done very quickly a way in which we can save Excel files using this function write.xlsx from the openxlsx program. Now we're gonna take it one step further and actually play with the formatting of that output file. This is very handy because this way if you have to repeat your analysis, you can already include how that file should be formatted, saving you a lot of time whenever you have to rerun your analysis. You don't have to, you know, do all this manual formatting by yourself. So that's basically what we will be looking at this class today. I guess it should probably take us around 45 minutes, hopefully. Right, we'll try to keep it within that time frame. And having that said, or having said that, sorry, let's get to it. So let's get ready, SamuRais. Okay, here we go. So first thing we're gonna do is remember we have our script, right? My first script. I already have it open here, and then I'm going to make this into a big screen, and then we need to remember to we're gonna load our libraries first, right? I'm gonna just run all the okay, this one is probably okay. Let me run that again. Should probably fix that issue. Should be okay. That's fine. Okay, I think it's here. No, wait. Let's delete everything. It's going fine. Okay, probably here we have some. I think this Excel file, probably book 2. Let me just see and fix it. 6. Let's see if we, yeah, okay, so that happens because later on are we, let me see if we're using data 6 somewhere else. If not, we'll delete this part. We don't really need it. Oh yeah, it is being used. Let's see if it's used somewhere else. Yeah, okay. And what about book 2? Sorry about that. I'm just trying to fix this for you guys too, because if you try to run the script and if you've done everything I've done, probably you'll run into that issue too. Okay, so it's only those 2 places. Okay, so let's just remove it then, because I think we ended up using the CSV. Save this, and then this should already work. Yeah, let's see if I didn't destroy something else. Speed.x doesn't exist. Okay. Well, sorry about that, guys. Data 6 and data 7. Yeah, because there's no speed. I'll leave this here. There's no speed column there. Okay. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. I think that took us more than expected, around 5 minutes just to check that. Just did some minor changes there. But with that said, actually we could have just started right over here, you know. That's the reality. We could just start here and work with datesdf. Let's see what datesdf has. Yeah, this is well, a very annoying one. Let's read it again. So here we're gonna create a new section. Let's call it actually let's create it over here. Formatting Excel files, let's call it. Okay. Then what we're gonna do next is I'm just gonna create another data from here. Let's call it datesdf2. Let's load that. Okay, it's over here. Great. Then what we're gonna do is basically we're gonna be formatting this file. So I know we already have it, but I just want to show you how you can use openxlsx library to really format your files, and we're gonna do a lot of interesting stuff. So how do we start with this process? Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to create an Excel workbook using xlsx. So actually I'm just going to do it like this, not as a section, because everything is the same here. And how do we create an Excel? Let me just, so that we can all see what I'm doing. Here we're going to be doing, let's call this output file. And then we're going to use the function create workbook. And if we want to know what this does, remember you can use the question mark followed by the name of the function to see what it does. And it says creates a new workbook object. Okay, so that's what we want. First, we want to create a workbook object. Okay, there we have. We have created our workbook object. It's created. Now that it's created, we need to add, of course, a worksheet. So to add a worksheet, we're going to be using the function add worksheet from openxlsx, and here we're going to create this into our output file, which is the workbook we created, and then we're going to name that sheet, let's call it data. So this name is going to be important because we're going to be referencing to this name over and over again. So yeah, make sure that, well, you can write anything you want, but the shorter the better for this exercise. Okay, so we add our worksheet. That should do everything. So let's execute that. We added the worksheet. Then next we're going to be writing our data because we have some data, right? We're going to be writing that data into our worksheet. So let's call this writing data to Excel workbook. And here, to write that data, what we're gonna do is we're gonna use write data, and we're gonna type here the name of the workbook, output file. Then we're gonna provide the sheet that we want to write to. So sheet is gonna be equal to data. And finally, we're gonna do say x, which is the data that we want to write, output. No, actually here is what's the name? datesdf2 is what we want, right? datesdf2 is what we want to save in this case. datesdf2. Okay, and that should get it done with writing our data into the sheet called data, which we created in the first step. Now, once we have done that, and remember here you can create as many sheets. So if you want to create another sheet, please go ahead and write here add worksheet, output file, and the name of the new sheet you're creating. You can create as many sheets as you want, as long as it's supported by Excel, right? I don't know if there's a limit to the number of sheets an Excel file can have. Probably there is, but yeah, I don't think I've ever gotten to a point where I used all the sheets. Uh, in any case, then after creating that worksheet, you can write the data into that worksheet, right? In this case, it's dates df2. We read it, of course. So we didn't do any processing in this case, but this is just an example. After creating or writing that data, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do something. We're gonna adjust the column width, right? So adjusting width, column width. And here we're gonna use a function called set call width. So to use set call width is set call widths like this. We're gonna do or pass our workbook object, which is the output file. And then here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do our sheet, which is data. And what else do we need to provide here? It says calls with, okay, sheet data. Of course, which columns we want to, change the width of, right? So let's say that we're gonna be doing that for calls. We're gonna be using the function called calls, and we're gonna say that this is not a function, by the way, this is a parameter, but we're gonna provide a function later. We're gonna say that it's from 1 to n call, which is a function that tells us how many columns an array has or a data frame has. And then we're gonna write here data df2, data df2, and then we're gonna provide widths equal to automatic. Now there are other things you can use here in width, so let's actually look at that. Set call widths, and then it says here see or right through widths auto widths. You can also provide a vector in case you want specific widths for that. In this case, we're going to be setting it to automatic, so they just adjust it to the size of whatever text we have in there. Next, we're going to be doing what should we do next? After adjusting the column width, we might as well add a column filter, right? Those column filters, in Excel, that you can just filter your data. That's always pretty nice to have. So here let's call it adding filters, adding column filter. And with that, how do we add it? We use a function called add filter. And with add filter, we also need to provide, of course, the workbook. So it's output file, then the sheet, which is data. And then once again, we need to provide the rows and the columns. So in this case, we know that it's going to be the first row, right? So data df2, we're going to be having number, letters, type, value, word, date, have the filter. So we're going to say it's going to be the first row. Now I know that you're going to say, well, but the first row is this one. Yes, in R, the first row is actually this one. But when we're saving it in Excel, the first row will actually be numbers, letters, type, value, word, and date, in case you were wondering. So how is that gonna look like? We're gonna say rows equal 1, and then calls equal, and then we do the exact same thing we did before. So we're gonna be applying it to all of them. So 1, 2, and call data df2 with, well, no, it's not width, sorry. It's just like that, there's no width, it's just a filter. So this should take care of the filter. So we're gonna see how this looks until the very end, okay guys? So please bear with me a second there. Okay, now we have our workbook, the sheets, the adjustments of the widths, the column filters, And next we're gonna be adding, let's see, let's add a freeze pane. So let's freeze column 1. Yeah, number. So freezing panes. And here we're gonna use the freeze pane function. We're gonna provide our workbook object, and then we're gonna be providing our sheet. Should be data, and then we need to provide what is the first active row. First active row should be row number 2, because this is number 1. Remember, in Excel this is going to be 1. So we want to have this frozen and then this column frozen, so that we can just move around. Okay, first active row would be 2, and then first active call would be, in this case, 2. Let's see. If we get it wrong, we'll fix it. So don't worry about that. And that should give us a some pane freezing. Now, sometimes we want to color things in that Excel file, right? We want to add a splash of color. Let's say we want to color certain columns a certain way. How can we do that? Well, we need to create styles for that. So let's type here creating styles. Formatting. Creating format styles. Yeah, creating format styles. And here, let's start by creating a bold style. So let's call it style 1 equal, well, not equal, sorry, assignment operator, create style. And once we have created that style, what we're gonna be doing here is use text. Oh, sorry about that. It's text decoration. Text decoration. We're gonna be making equal to bold, and I think that should be style. Create style text decoration. C bold. Okay, so that this style will make everything bold. Then let's do style 2, create style, and this one we're gonna do a fill. So to do a fill, you do fg fill, and then here you need to type the hex code of that. I usually use the hex code. Where can you get the hex code for colors? Well, let's just search color hex code. Well, let's see what, here it is. So let's choose, for example, this. We can copy this one, we paste it here, and then you can already see the kind of like the color, what color it is. Yep. Let's see, I don't know. Okay, I was just playing around. Okay, so that should have our style 2. Let's see if we can create another. I'm gonna create several styles just in case. We might use all of them, or we may not use all of them, but I just want to give you different ways in which you can create them. So let's create a style 3, and this one create style. These ones will have a text decoration, which is bold, but also we're gonna pass another one. It's gonna have an FG fill, and this one is gonna be, oops, let's say this color. There we go. I think that's it. Let's create one more because we have some dates in there, and dates can get kind of complicated. So better create a style for that too. And to do that, we're gonna do create style and then num format, and we're gonna be passing down how that date looks like. So it's year, month, day, and then hours, minutes, and seconds. So for that, we're gonna do, I think it's year, month, day. Then we're gonna do hours, minutes, seconds, if I'm not mistaken. So if we look at, let's quickly look at create style. No documentation. Here it goes. openxlsx date format. This is where how we can format that, which is the same thing here. Well, almost the same. I mean, you have the hyphens here. We have the slash here. I'm gonna be using the slash. I've used it before. I know it works. Feel free to try the other version. Now, sometimes you see that this creates style. Well, first of all, I don't think I typed it correctly. There you go. Num format. So you have different types of formatting. You have general, number, currency, accountant, date, long date, time, percentage, fraction, scientific, text, comma. Many ways in which you can format that. Now it doesn't tell you much about how to format each of those, but that's something that you can always read in the openxlsx documentation. So you can always go to, just type in openxlsx and you'll see lots of documentation here, and you can see lots of the functions that are used. So let's see if we can find here create style, and here you have, I think it's going to be probably the same documentation. Yeah, it's probably the same, just a different place. Well, in any case, guys, this is how you do it, right? And in case you get stuck, there's always you can always look it up online too for other sources, but I think this should probably be enough if you're trying to format a date time. You also have date too, right? And time. Okay, so that takes care of style 4. And then let's see, let's add one more style, style 5. In style 5, create style 5 will be just num format, and we're gonna be, well, if we want to set something as a text, that this is how you would do it, right? At. So if, in case you want to set something as a text, you would do it like this. Now, when do you want to set something like a text? Well, maybe you have a date that you want Excel not to treat as a date but as text. This is a way in which you could probably do it. In any case, now we have created all our styles. Like I said, we may or may not be using all of them. I just wanted to show you how you can basically combine things, you know, have a style just for bold, or a style just for a fill, or a style that has bold and fill, how to format for date, how to format for text. Great. Now, next thing is we're going to be selecting columns to apply style to. And to select those columns, you can technically just pass the index to the different functions that we will be using, but it's easier if you just create a vector that you can just pass down on to these different functions. Why? Because if you do it this way, you can basically automatically pass the index. How are we going to do that? Well, I'll tell you how. We're going to be doing that by, let's say, calls 1. And let's say that calls 1, we're going to be, let's say that these are the ones that we want to paint. Well, we'll see later. But okay, let's see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Let's say that we want word. I'm going to choose word. Word and value. So to automatically find the index of those columns without us having to do it. Remember when I told you that sometimes people change their things in their files, or even us, we might change some things. You can always have that index calculated automatically by you by using this following clever trick. So we're going to use the function match. So what does match do? Value matching, maybe this one. Yeah, see, match returns a vector the position of the first matches of its first argument in its second. Right? I know it sounds kind of strange, but just look what's gonna happen. So we're gonna be passing down a vector, right? And that vector is gonna be letters, and I think it was value, right? Letters and value. Actually, it was word and value. Sorry. Does it have to be exactly in the order? Word, value, value, word. I don't think so. Oh, here we're missing something. Sorry. And then we need to say where this is coming from, or where it's gonna look. That we're gonna use the function names, and names will take the names out of a data frame, right? And we're gonna be looking at that. So names, and then this one is gonna be, I think, data df, if I remember correctly, data df2. We execute this, data df dates, sorry, dates df2, and there we have it. Here we have 5 and 4, for example. That means that those are located there. Now it should work, I think, independently of whether 5 is first or 4. It's fine. It should definitely work because this is a vector, and we're gonna be passing down that vector. So yeah, let's paint some of them this color, and then another ones in this color. So we're gonna be painting maybe, let's say, letters and date. Letters and date. It's gonna be bold, actually. Well, you know, let's just paint number. Yeah, let's paint number. Yeah, number and date. So we're gonna create another one. We're gonna use the same match, C, number, and then we're gonna do date. See date? Yes, it's date. Then we're gonna be taking names from dates df2, and that should give us again the what is the location of those columns. Okay, that should have that set. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna be adding those styles. So we went through all the trouble of creating the styles, finding the columns that we want to paint. And remember, if you do this, that means that you could technically rearrange your columns in your file, and it wouldn't matter as long as you keep the same naming convention for your original file, for those columns, for those variables. Then, you know, this function will do its work. It'll find those columns, and it'll always paint them the whatever color you want once we pass that vector into the functions that do the styling. So what is the function that does the style? It's called basically, well, let's say adding style. Adding style, we're gonna use the function add style, right? And here we're gonna choose our workbook, which was output file. Then we're gonna be doing the sheet data. After doing the sheet data, we're gonna be doing the style equal style. We have all the styles here. Style 1. Style 1 is just bold. And then where do we want to apply this style? So we want to apply this style to, let's see, let's say all of them, right? So that would be rows 1, and then calls equal 1 to and call 1 to end call, and this it would be the data df2, and then there's something called grid expand equal true. This means that if we add some other styling on top, or basically it'll apply this styling to individual cells, right, one by one, instead of just only the first one. You can read about that in the add style function. Then let's add another style. We have also our style 4, which is this one. Well, we have style 1. Let's add style 2. So output file sheet equal data style equal style 2, and this one we want to color, let's say we want to color rows 2 calls equal number, date, word value. Number, date, word value. Let's say type. So type, and then I'm gonna create a third one, sorry, so that we can do that instead of me actually finding it. See, here is gonna be type, names is gonna be dates df2. Okay, we have our things here, and then calls, we're basically gonna say calls 3, and that should basically pass down that information. Now we're gonna say grid expand equal true, and let's move on to the next style. One actually here, rows 2 to end row, then it's gonna be data f2, because we want it to be applied to the whole, basically all the rows, right? So from row 2, column 3, actually I think it's column 3, yeah, it's column 3, then it's gonna apply this particular style 2, which is the orangey kind of color, to all that. Okay, then what else do we need? Well, we should probably apply the bold and pink stuff, so and I'm gonna just copy this to make this much quicker, right? So I don't have to bore you guys with me typing. We're gonna be output file sheet data, style is gonna be style 3, and then we're gonna be applying it to end row data df2. Let's call it from 1 to data df2 to calls is gonna be, let's say calls 2, which is gonna be number and date. Okay. Next, we have some dates in there, right? So let's add that style to that so that it doesn't become something strange. If you don't add this, it may or may not work. I've had problems in the past where I didn't really specify that it was a date, and then I would just get a document that was had some issues. The dates were completely messed up. So to avoid that, I'm gonna actually say and style it as a date. So we're gonna copy this again. Sheet data style is gonna be style 4, and then here is row 2, data df2 to columns, and we said we're gonna be here. We need to pass a very particular column, so we're just gonna say here. And I don't recommend that you do it this way because, it's better if you do it this way. But just to show you how it's done when you don't have, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So here you can say calls 6, I believe. We'll know for sure. I don't think we need to pass it as a vector. I mean, alternative would be to pass it like this, right? But let's just try. Actually, yeah, let's just be careful. Pass it as a vector. Okay, 6. And that should style this as a date. Now, I think we'll see how this goes, right? But I think there might be a little bit of an issue with this. Okay, I think that's enough for the styling. We're not going to be using the num format. But now we're going to add, sometimes you might want to protect your workbook. And to do that, we're going to use the function protect workbook. And here we're going to say is output file. Then we're going to be saying protect true. We're going to be passing down a password, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to say that log structure, so that no one can modify it, equal true. Okay, and then that's it. It's kind of done there. Now we've arrived to the final step of this long journey to create an Excel file. Now you see that it actually takes time to set it up, right? We've been talking about this for the last 38 minutes or so. But we're almost done. It takes time, but once you set it up, it's actually pretty cool because you don't have to do it again. So the last step is to save workbook. And to save the workbook, we're going to use save workbook, and we're going to be doing output file. We need to pass the file, output file, the workbook, sorry. We're passing it down, output file. Then we're going to be passing down the name, and let's copy. I'm kind of lazy at this point, so let's copy this thing here. So let's pass down that paste. Let's call it format. Now let's call it styled. Well, formatted or styled it's the same. I'm gonna just call it styled workbook or formatted workbook. It's up to you. It's gonna have the time, the date, and then the extension .xlsx, and then here there's another thing, overwrite. We're gonna say true. Be careful with this one. It's useful if you, let's say, don't plan to have the date and time, to just say overwrite true. That way you can always just save on top of the same file. Just be careful with that, because if you need to keep some kind of record, then it would eliminate it. In our case, even if it's true, with our changing date and time based on the system time, it will be very, very difficult for that to happen. Okay, now I think we're done. We're done. So let's see how it looks like. Okay, so let's run everything again. So dates df2. And actually, let's delete this. We don't need the whole rest. Dates df2 output. Oh, data df2 not found. Okay. Oh, okay, it's dates. Sorry. See, dates. Sorry about that. Let's see if I made that mistake again. Dates df2. Dates df2. He did it again. Yeah, be careful. Don't be like me. Be careful with your names. Okay, so let's start again. Dates df2. It's loaded. Just checking line by line. Dates df2. And there it is, styled workbook. Now let's see the moment of truth. The moment of truth. We open it. And for the most part, it's fine, except for something. And I knew this would happen, and I did this on purpose, right? So when it comes to the formatting, you notice that I said, yeah, from rows 1 all the way to, dates df2, end row dates df2. And you would think like, okay, that should work then, making it all the way to the end, right? But for some reason, because of the way the indexes are, the rows are handled, right? You always end up being one short. So to fix that, what I usually do is just add a +1, add a simple +1 in here, and then that should do it. So we're gonna redo this. Okay, we're gonna leave this one over here so that we see the difference. Let's do it again. This one's open. Let's open the new one. It's gonna open on my other side. Let's make this. So you notice that it was actually, well, let me open that again. If you look carefully, the filter kind of overlaps the text of the columns. That's fine. You just need to double click this to make it to adjust the width. So now you see that it's actually all the way to the end. I just made up another mistake here where it says, well, basically not starting there. So let's fix that too. Let's delete those two. And then which styles are those? 2 and 3. Let's make it from 1. Okay, well, let's see what happens again. What's happening here? Okay, yeah, I made a mistake. See, I made a different mistake here because I applied, I think, style. Let's leave it like this. Yeah, that's what happens when you want to skip the whole code. Unfortunate. Okay, this is weird that we're getting this one over here. Let me just quickly check. We're basically almost done with the lesson. Style 1, okay. And then style 4. This one, okay. Let's say it's from 2, okay. And row. Okay. I think I know what the problem is. Here, I made a mistake. I should have done something like this. Yeah, this is what's missing. Sorry about that, guys. Expand in style 4 and rotates 2. Okay. This should work now, hopefully. Then we can all finish. Yeah, now it's working. Now, did I paint this? Did I paint date like this? Date, let's see. Date. Style 3 to calls 2. True. Yeah, it should have been painting it, but it's not actually painting it as it should. So let's just pass down the FG fill directly again, and then that should hopefully fix that. Okay, let's save this. Let's close this. Let's rerun again. There we go, beautiful. So there we go. Of course, openxlsx has many other things you can do. This is just like a, let's say, one of the things that you might end up doing the most. You also have conditional formatting. I encourage you to explore how to do conditional formatting. If you go to openxlsx, there should be, let's see, openxlsx. I think it's called add conditional format. There you go, conditional format. So you can add conditional formatting here, lots of operators. So I encourage you to look into other functions of the openxlsx package. There's lots of things you can do. I just showed you how is it that I personally style workbooks, right? I usually do these kind of filters, add the first row to be bold, uh, paint some columns here and there for easier identification, and then just basically that's it. So it does take a little bit of time to set all of this up. You see that it's quite a few lines of code, uh, right, to set it up, and this is only with one sheet. So if you have, let's say, more than one sheet, this code is going to be much longer, but it's worth taking the time to do it, because once you do it, you basically set and forget, right? Every time you run your analysis, when you have your block for formatting your Excel file or your output, then you don't need to worry about all of that. You know, it's just execute, it'll run the analysis, and then it'll format the results exactly like you want, saving you a lot of time during your job. And this is, you know, this is one of my favorite parts, openxlsx, just formatting those files to quickly deliver those formatted Excel files. It's pretty, it saves a lot of time. It does take a little bit of time to set it up, but if it's a recurring analysis or a recurring report that you do, it's certainly worth the time. You know, spend 30 minutes setting it up, and then you'll save lots of minutes later down the road when you have to run those analysis. Okay, with that said, we have arrived to the end of our lesson. I ended up taking a little bit more time. I think we were at 52 minutes. We had some problems at the start where I needed to change some of the code when I was running it, and then I ran into some complications towards the end with the coloring of some of the columns. But you know, it's good. These are real issues that you also might face, and right, so it kind of gets you a little bit of insight on how you can fix all those different issues. I hope you enjoyed the class today, right? If you like the classes that I do, please remember to like and subscribe, and to tell your friends how to to visit my channel and also learn some art to work more efficiently, primarily. With that said, thank you for your time, and we'll see you next time. Class dismissed.